All right. We had our regular Wednesday and it was another half day in a row. Just kind of a crazy week. Plus you had off on Monday. I hope that you do well in the CRQ today. But really just interested in like what you know and what you're mastering. So we can use that information for for our warm-ups and make sure that we can get you to master all of the things that you need to master. Okay. So next, I have a few jokes. Let's see how they go. Okay. All right, hang on one second. There we go. Now I'm on the video. Okay. So let's see. This is funny to me. A number, what do you call a number that can't keep still? A Roman numeral. But if you write I's and V's and C's and M's and X's, those are technically called Roman numerals because the Romans from thousands of years ago started off with just the letters, and they didn't have the number 0, so they started off with an I as a 1, and then they would count 1, 2, 3, and then they would do an IV for 4. And if you know whose name is Blue IV, then you can write that on your homework and I'll give you a B point. All right. Next one. So I think that's really funny. A Roman numeral, because obviously Roman means going around, but it also means Rome from Italy, the capital of Italy. All right. Next one. What is a bird's favorite kind of math? Algebra. The bird is an owl. And it sounds just like algebra. And that's really funny to me. Plus, I think this penguin is really cute. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and let's get on our way. Going straight to our homework. Okay. I think I have better directions on this homework, and I never updated the last ones. But anyways, it has directions. It says first, read the lesson notes. So that's what we're about to do. They are examples for how to solve the problem. Next, show your thinking and work next to the problems on the homework worksheets. We're about to do that. Then, or watch the video and take the video notes with the special Flair pen. If you don't have the Flair pen, it's totally fine, but I just thought it might be fun for you. And compare your responses. Check your thinking, evaluate if it's correct or not. Finally, write any thoughts, questions, or conclusions you have about the work for B points. Okay, and then turn in both pages. All right, so first I'm going to read some lesson notes. And this may be a little bit ahead of where we are in class, and that's going to be okay because we took the CRQ today, but that's why we have lesson notes and a video. Okay, so today, or whatever day we end up doing lesson 11, I think it's going to be tomorrow, we are dividing a unit fraction, means it has a 1 in the numerator, by a whole number. So that's pretty cool. We are basically taking a fraction and splitting it up into like pieces and then asking how many of those are actually in the whole. So we're starting with a whole piece, then we cut this in half. Then we divided the half into 4 smaller pieces. Of these smaller pieces, one of these smaller pieces is equal to 1/8 of the whole. Okay, so we basically took half and divided it up by 4. So this is the half. And then we divided that up by 4. And so we took 1/4 of the 1/2. Okay, so I just want to write down what we're thinking. And so that's what we're writing down in the math. We have 1/2 divided by 4. Okay, I'm going with the arrow here. I'm going to be taking 1/4 of the 1/2. So then this really turns into a multiplication problem. So what we have to do really is just interpret this division. And that's what dividing with fractions actually just means. We're interpreting the division into a multiplication problem. And then we'll see that 1/4 of this is half, of the 1/2 is going to be 1/8 of the whole. Okay, so I'm going to do that one more time because I messed up on this number. We start off with 1/2 and we are dividing it by 4 parts. So we just had the 1/2. I'm gonna do it in color, and then we're dividing it into 4 parts. Okay, and that's where the overlap goes. That is 1/4 of the 1/2, which is what we've been doing for multiplication of fractions. That, of course, in turn becomes 1/4 times 1/2, which is 1/8 of the whole, or the initial amount before we had half. I know that's a lot. It's okay. You're going to be okay. I promise. Okay. Same thing happening in lesson 12, just some more exciting numbers, I think. All right, lesson 12. Today we are making diagrams, just like I did in the last one, to represent the division of a unit fraction, but really it just means we are interpreting the division as a multiplication problem. Okay, so these diagrams both represent, look at it, it's 1/3 because this entire thing is 1. So again, we have to define what the whole is. And then we are taking 1/3 of it, which is what this is, split it into thirds. So we have 1/3, but then how many pieces are we splitting that 1/3 into? Looks like I'm splitting it into 4, which means I'm taking 1/4 of 1/3. So my division is interpreted into multiplication because I have 1/4 times 1/3, and then look at the size. This is 1/4 of the 1/3. There's 4 pieces here. Of the 1/4, there's 4 pieces here. So far, that's 8. There's 4 pieces here, and that's a total of 12 pieces of 1/4 of 1/3. And that's why it's 1/12. That's what that is. The 1/12, 1 out of 12. Okay, and that's exactly what it says here. Bottom there, I just underlined. Okay, so let's get some work done. All right, on the next page, and you'll notice I have the pencil done first. So I'm modeling what your homework should look like. And I have my special Flair pen that I'm going to switch to orange for today, even though I did the first one in blue. That's okay. All right, so a pan of macaroni and cheese, just how we started learning the multiplication fractions. Same thing for division. We're starting with this pan of macaroni and cheese, and 3 friends equally split it. So I have my whole pan. This is the whole pan, or 1 pan. And I'm splitting that into a third because this is gone. And all that's left is this macaroni and cheese. Okay. But 3 friends are splitting it. So I'm getting 1, 2, 3 sections. And I know you want to write that a big back is going to eat all 3, but we need to know the fraction of the entire pan that is left. So I'm going to take out these lines to see how many pieces there are. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like so I have 1/3 of the 1/3. Okay, so I could definitely have that multiplication problem, but it's asking me for a division expression. So that's a lot. Let me see what that's going to be. If I have 1, I'm starting with 1/3. That's always my starting amount, or my dividend, or what I'm sharing. And then what am I sharing it by? What am I splitting it by? I'm dividing it up by 3 friends. Okay. And those 3 friends are making it be 1/3 of the 1/3 that was left. And that becomes 1/3 times 1/3, which is 1/9 of the pan. Okay, that's how we're getting the 1/9 of the pan. But this is the division expression that we need to start with, and then we get to interpret it as multiplication. Okay, I actually just kind of answered that from the next one, so I'm just going to put an arrow. And you can do that too with your notes. All right, let's see what's in store on the next page. Okay, so we want to select all of the diagrams that represent 1/3 divided by 4. I'm going to take a moment right now and in my head picture 1. one tape diagram, one block, and, or like one, block of cheese or one pizza. And I'm going to split that into a third. I have to have that first. I have to have the third first because it's the dividend and it's the first number. So it lets us know. And then whatever I have in my third, this is my 1/3, I then am splitting it into 4 pieces. But I have a fraction and I'm taking a fraction of a fraction. So it's going to be even smaller. So I'm going to really have 1/3. If it's divided by 4, I'm going to be taking 1/4 of 1/3, and that's going to give me 1/12 of the whole, of the original, of the pan. So I'm going to look for the pieces that start off with 1/3, and they all do except for this one. So it's done. And then I'm seeing where there is 1/4 of 1/3 because 1/4 means divided by 4. I have 1/4 here, I have 1/4 here, and I have 1/3 here. So no dice. I have A and I have C. And if you can notice, that's going to be 1/12 of the entire like tape diagram, which it's indicated as 1 for us. Okay, so we're continuing on with this, doing a little bit more, diagrams, which I think are kind of really fun. And let's see what we got. Notice that my pencil is finished and I am starting a new diagram in my flare pit. Okay, all right. So I'm going to complete the diagram below to represent the expression 1/4 divided by 5. 1/4 divided by 5. So I have to have a 1 first before I split it up. And it says I have to have 1/4. So this is what I'm sharing. This is what I'm starting with. Okay. And so it needs to be into a fraction already because I'm just interested in the 1/4. Then I didn't mean to do that crosshatch. Anyways, then it's telling me that I'm dividing this 1/4 by 5. So I know if I'm dividing it by 5, I am getting it into fifths. That is just what happens when we divide things. So it's no different even with fractions. I'm then taking 1/5 of 1/4. So let's split this into fifths. 1, 2. And here I now have 1/5 of the 1/4 that I had. And 1/5 of 1/4, and notice I'm rewriting all of these things, and that's okay. 1/5 of 1/4 is 1/5 times 1/4, which is 1/20th of the original, right? Because I originally just had 1. So it's 1/20th of 1. I'd have 20 pieces if they were all in the size of 1/4 divided by 5, which is 1/5 of 1/4. So I'm taking a fifth of it. I'm splitting into 5 groups. Okay. Let's take a look at this next one. It says, which expression matches the situation? 4 friends equally share 1/5 slab of modeling clay during art class. It actually sounds really fun. All right. So if they're sharing 1/5, I have to start off with 1/5. That's got to be my starting point because they're sharing it. And this is what I'm sharing and my starting amount. And these are the video notes I'm looking for in a pen, or hopefully you still have your Flair pen or any other type of non-pencil, on your paper. All right. So I'm sharing, I'm starting with 1/5 and then I'm sharing. So I need a division symbol. It's just how it works. And I'm sharing it by 4 people. Okay, so I have 1/5 divided by 4, which means I really need 1/4 of my 1/5. Let's see if I see anything here that looks like that. I have 1/5 divided by 4. Oh, I have it right here. Okay. Looks like it's this one because 1/4, no, that's not what I'm starting with. And I'm not, 4 people is not what I'm starting with. And 1/4 is not what I'm starting with. Okay, and it's actually would be, if this was multiplication, that would work, but it's not. Now I'm going to draw a diagram in a different way than I did in my pencil and then match. So I know I have to start off with 1/5. That is my starting amount. Okay, so I always do one less than the amount of spaces I need. And I know that this is 1 whole and that this is 1/5. Okay, then I want to split that where each person is getting, like I only have a 1/5 to share with the 4 people. So if I'm the teacher, I'm splitting this 1/5 into 4ths. 1 friend, 2 friend, red friend, blue friend. I'm just kidding. 1 friend, 2 friend, 3 friends, 4 friends. And then this is 1/4, but see how it's 1/4 of the 1/5? That comes from 1/5 divided by 4. That 1/4 comes first now, and I do 1/4 of 1/5. Okay, and then 1/4 times 1/5 equals 1/20th of the whole slab, which is a really funny word. Slab. Slab. I think it just means like a large chunk. But I guess that was the starting amount, the slab. Okay, so that was really fun. See how I'm finding a smaller amount from the fraction. So I'm dividing the fraction by a whole number, super duper small number. All right, we have some more to play with. Here we go. All right, so I'm matching each expression with the diagram that represents it. And I am starting. What was my starting amount? Well, I have 1, and clearly I've split it into 1/2 first. And then looks like the 1/2 I've split into 4. So 1/2 divided by 4. Do I have that anywhere? Yes, I do. I have it as F. Nice. Okay, this is A. All right. Then this next one, I'm starting off with 1, but then I've split it into 1, 2, 3. So I've again started with a fraction, and then I've split my fraction into 4ths. So that means I've divided it by 4. It also means I've taken 1/4 of 4, but I only have division fractions, expressions here. And so that is D, which matches with B. All right. Next, I have 1, but I've started it into thirds because my only gray area is up here, and I've split them into thirds as well, that third into thirds. So it's 1/3 divided by 3 pieces, which is how I get 1/3 of 3. And that's E, and that goes with C. Okay. All right. There was no G. Don't worry about that. Or D. Okay. So, let's take a look at these last few, and then hopefully you'll get some good night's sleep. How much paint will each class get if there are 4 classes sharing 7 gallons of paint? All right. We definitely went over order of division a while ago in schools in September. So let's just think back and remind ourselves that it is always the starting amount divided by the number of piles, people, or, you know, blocks or something like that, or just like, amount of things you're splitting them into. Splits is what I usually say. And this is also what's being shared divided by the number of sharers. Okay, so what's being shared here? Let's not go fast. I have to read this carefully. It's the paint that is being shared. So 7 gallons is being shared by 4 people. All right, so I know that that's my expression, but this box asks for an equation, and oops, I didn't do that with my pencil. So I'm going to do it here and make sure that I have to answer this. So if I have 7 divided by 4, 4 goes in 1 with 3/4 left over. So 1 3/4 gallons. All right, per class. I go back and figure out what the context was. Context was class, 1 3/4 gallons per class. See, this per means I did some division. Okay, let's look at letter A. Mosaic tile art piece is on display at a local museum. On this mosaic, 1/8 of the tile. So I have a whole mosaic. And then it looks like 1/8. Okay, it looks like 1/8 of those tiles are triangles. Out of those triangles, 3/4, okay, are blue. So it looks like I'm taking 3/4 of the 1/8. All right. And so that's really 3/4 times 1/8. I'm going to find that product and I'm going to get 3/32 of the mosaic whole thing that are blue triangles. All right. And look at that because I'm going to make it blue right here, blue triangles. And that's 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 possible parts of the 1/8. Okay. And then if I had these, I would notice I have 32 total pieces, but only 3 of them are blue triangles. Okay. All right. 2 more. At the high school, 2/3 of all of the students, so I have like a whole amount of students, and I know that 2/3 of them play a team sport. Teams, and this is all the students. All students is the entire thing. All right. Then it says 1/4 of those students are on the football team. So here's the football team. Well, let's see what that looks like over the entire amount of students. If I have 2/3 first, and then I'm dividing that by 4 groups, I have 1/4 of 2/3. So any of these expressions would have been correct from your original work. And if you had 2/12 or 1/6 of all students, you are in business. Okay, if not, maybe the drawing will help. You have 2/3 first, and then you're taking 1/4 of the 2/3. And that's 1/6. So it is the 2/3. Sorry, you're taking 1/4 of each of the 2/3. And that's how we end up with 2 out of 12, 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. And that's how we get there because we took 1/4 of the 2/3 and we had 2/3. So we took 1/4 of 1/3, 1/4 of 2/3, and that's 2/12. Okay. So this is tricky. This is probably coming up in the next lesson. So you really probably just have this one and that's perfectly fine. Whew, a little drama at the end here. Okay, let's look at the last one. Cake recipe calls for 1 2/3 cups of flour. If you're making a tiered cake and you need 4 times that amount. Okay, well, if I have 1 batch or whatever, or 1 tier, I guess it means, let's use a different color. 1 tier, I need 1 2/3, but I need 4 tiers. So I'm going to use 4 times 1 2/3. So there's an and in here, and I want to solve this. Okay, so it's going to be 1 2/3 times 4. So I'm going to have 4 times 1 and 4 times 2/3. I'm going to solve that. 4 plus, that's the same thing as and. And then I have 4 times 2 is 8/3. I'm going to solve that. 8 divided by 3, I'm going to get 2 2/3 plus the 4. That's going to be 6 2/3. What is it? Flour. Cups of flour. Oh, that was a lot. Okay. Well, We had a half day today, so I hope this wasn't too bad. And I look forward to seeing the comparison of your pencil and your video notes. And I'll see you Thursday, tomorrow. Bye-bye.